Good afternoon, everyone. I am so excited to bring you the next interview in my Be Good to You video series with my beautiful friend, Valerie. I'm so excited to interview her today because she has just an amazing story of comeback. And so, Valerie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you for asking me to do this, Kristen. I think it's wonderful what you're doing with these interviews and your whole Be Good to You, everything. You're fabulous. I love you.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, then let's get this started. So share with me your health story and how you weren't being good to you.
Okay. I would say that throughout most of my life, I was not very good to myself as far as not practicing good, healthy habits. I wasn't terribly overweight, but I really just did not eat right and take care of myself. But I felt like I was in decent shape. I have a group of friends, the Beach Bound Running Mamas, that I would do half marathons with. And, you know, who doesn't feel like if you can walk a half a marathon, you got to be in halfway decent shape, right? So, like I said, I didn't have a weight problem per se. After I had my kids, I had some baby weight to get rid of. So I had done Weight Watchers way back then and took that off. And actually, I was a lifetime member of Weight Watchers. But almost 5 years ago, I was out with my husband and a bunch of friends at a holiday party. And all of a sudden, I just felt like a volcano had erupted in my chest, and thought that maybe something that I ate or drank disagreed with me. Then I started getting very flushed and thought I was having hot flashes and was just kind of like, oh, for crying out loud. Everybody was kind of making jokes about it, myself included, and we just went about our business with the party and went home. The next day, I still wasn't feeling that great and thought that maybe this was like an acid reflux kind of thing that had burnt up my esophagus. And it wasn't until the next day, 2 days later, when I just happened to be on the phone with my parents and told them about the incident, that my mother really hollered at me and was telling me, you need to go to the doctor. Do you know how many women have heart attacks and don't pay any attention to it? Okay, mommy, I'll go to the doctor. So called, got my appointment, off I went. And my doctor is phenomenal as far as not overreacting, but being thorough. So he knew that I did have a history of acid reflux and thought that that probably was the case, but let's do an EKG just to be sure. And that looked a little funny to him. So he sent me off to the cardiologist by way of the hospital to have some blood work and everything done. And I will give you another, I was not being so good to me kind of thing. By way of the hospital also took me by way of Burger King because it had gotten so late, I needed some lunch. Go to the cardiologist's office, and by the time he came in, he had all the blood work, the EKG, everything, and he was very sweet and said, I'm very sorry, but you had a heart attack. And I was kind of speechless for a few seconds, and then I was like, okay, well, this has taken a whole lot longer than I thought. Are we done now? I had a heart attack. Okay, big deal. He was like, no, you should not be driving anywhere, and I need you to go to the hospital. And I'm like, did you not hear what I said? The mother, everything is always more important than taking care of yourself. I had kids to pick up and dinner to make. I don't have time to be going to the ER. What are you talking about? But that's what I did. Ended up having to stay in the hospital overnight because they did the catheterization and the whole 9 yards, and never were able to find out what had actually happened to cause it. I didn't have any major blockages or anything like that. So thank God it was mild and no after effects, but of course they put me on a ton of medications for preventative measures. And unbeknownst to me, just like a woman having a heart attack can present completely different than a man, I also didn't know that it can cause depression. So between going into depression and all of these medications, that's when I actually started putting on all of my weight and really not taking care of myself and just sinking lower and lower and lower. And last year, a very good friend of mine had been introduced to our health program because she was having some physical and mental difficulties, and the program just basically saved her life. And she became a coach and was shouting this from the rooftops, and I was at the top, if not at the very top of her list of people that she wanted to talk to about this, because she was actually with me when I had my heart attack. So I was very much on her heart that she wanted me to start taking care of myself and get healthy. So I started the program, and less than 5 months, I had lost 45 pounds, and my life just completely turned around.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm just so glad that you're here to share this story, because I mean that could have gone so many different directions.
Absolutely. You know, we're all in God's hands, so it's all up to him, but we definitely can, not that we have a say in it, but obviously taking care of ourselves is doing what we should do as stewards of our bodies.
Absolutely, absolutely. So with that being said, what daily practices of habits and mental well-being do you do to be good to yourself now?
I would say my biggest things are whatever I do in the morning. First thing that starts my day on the right foot that's the biggest thing for me. That's key. I always try to have my devotions, spending time in God's Word. Our morning show that we participate in now in the mornings is just fabulous, getting to start the day with some friends and coworkers and just inspirational, motivational people. That is huge. And then just trying to read more to better myself, just for myself, but also so that I can be the best version of myself to project to others to help them on their health journey. And I used to get a little, like I would feel guilty about spending the time sitting on the couch and reading, thinking, like, oh, I should be doing this or I should be doing that. And I was actually talking to my husband about it not too long ago, who, by the way, he's like my biggest cheerleader, and he's the best. You credit everything to Rex for getting in touch with David, and Michael's just, I can pretty much do no wrong in his sight. He's pretty awesome. But you know, we were having this conversation, and I told him about wanting to read more and have these books that would help me with my personal self and business and so on and so forth, but feeling a little guilty if I sit and read and I'm not doing whatever else I think I should be doing. And he told me this awesome story about and probably a lot of people out there have already read this or heard this, about the woodcutters, the two woodcutters that lived next to each other. And the one guy was a big brawny guy, and the other guy was kind of little and scrawny and whatever. But the scrawny guy was always cutting more wood. And the big guy was getting a little miffed about this. So he started working longer days. He started working more days. And the scrawny guy was still beating him and cutting more wood. And one night he heard some noise over, the big guy heard noise over in the scrawny guy's yard. And he looks over the fence and he sees the scrawny guy sharpening his axe. And it was like, you know, you just need to sharpen your axe sometimes. And that's the best thing that you can do to make things go better. So once again, my husband being the fabulous guy that he is, he tells me, if you're sitting and reading books to help, you're sharpening your axe. And that's a good thing. I'm like, okay, I'm just sharpening my axe.
I love that analogy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'd never heard that story, so thank you.
Oh my gosh. He's like the king of analogies and stories and whatever, but he's awesome.
That's awesome. So in closing, what advice would you give to others to be good to themselves?
Just whatever you need to do. You know, we, especially as women and moms, it can be very cliche to say the things about you can't pour from an empty cup, or we take care of everybody but ourselves, but it really is the truth. We tend to think about everybody else but ourselves, and we just have to get to the point where we realize that taking care of ourselves is just as important, if not more important, than taking care of everybody else. Because if we're not taking care of ourselves, who knows what could happen, and we might not be around at all to take care of everyone else. So I love your saying that you say about self-care is not selfish. And that is the absolute truth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you even said it, you know, you're like, hey, I just found out I had a heart attack, but I got to go pick up the kids at school. So can we wrap this up?
Exactly. Exactly.
Exactly.
And I was totally serious. Like, I have to pick up the kids and make dinner. What do you mean I have to go to the hospital? Are you out of your mind?
Exactly. Well,
Ridiculous.
it is what it is, right? We can't, a lot of times we can't shut that off. So it just happens.
Can't shut off the mom brain.
No, not at all. Well,
but we need to sometimes.
Absolutely. We need to sharpen our axe and sit and read a book, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And sometimes, you know what? If you just need to sit and relax and do nothing.
Yeah.
Just take some deep breaths and
Exactly. Well, I'm going to take a deep breath because I have enjoyed this interview immensely. So thank you so much, Valerie, and thank you again for agreeing to do this with me today.
Oh, thank you for doing it, Kristen. You rock. You know I love you, and I can't wait to see you in a few weeks.
Woo! All right, honey. Have an awesome day, okay?
You too. See you later.
Thanks. Bye.